Hello again, it's Garson, and I can't see a single thing, which is funny because I was pretty sure my Warlock had Devil's Sight. Okay, well let's just try it anyway. Can I shoot this guy? Nope. How close would I have to get to shoot this guy? Oh, well that sucks. Okay, well I think I can solve this. I'll just use my own darkness, override that cloud, and yeah, I'm not blinded anymore, so go to town. Bop, 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 bop. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, ow, ooh, ouchie, ooh. Okay. So, how about now? Can I zap that guy? Oh yeah, I can. Well, if I get a little closer into the normal fog and now I'm blinded... Okay, what's going on here? What's going on here? I think we've all asked ourselves this question. So that's what we're going to talk about. Blindness, fog clouds, all that good stuff here. So as always, let me whip out the notes. And I actually want to say thank you. This is actually coming from a request, but also thank you for watching. Today we're going to talk about blindness. We're talking about the fogs and the dark cloud, right? And all those different like dark visions, devil sights, and immunity. I'll try and answer and go over the differences with these and what you should be using and how these all work, right? But of course, thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, or like Anthony here, you have a suggestion for a video, let's save it for the end. Just drop it in the comments. Because again, this was a suggestion from Anthony. He said, could you kind of go over the differences with the fog clouds and the dark visions and all that, and what the benefits are, what the limitations are? I don't claim to know everything, but I appreciate it, Anthony. I'll try and answer this stuff. So let's actually get into it. With the notes here, tried to make this pretty easy, so let's see what it's all about. With blindness, which is going to play into all these, and then the two clouds, and then I'll go over the differences with the dark visions, and I'll kind of highlight some of the combos here, okay? So let's talk about the blindness condition itself. Just slow down at first, right? Blindness is very interesting because as you can see on Karlach here, I can target somebody and I don't have the best aim with my dexterity being low, right? So I only have a 60% chance to hit this guy, right? Okay. And that's because my dexterity is kind of low for a ranged weapon, right? So my attack roll isn't the best. But Gale over here, hey, check this out, right? If I don't have this risky ring giving me advantage, then I just have a really high accuracy 95 against this guy. So what's that about blindness? Well, blindness comes in two flavors. It's a condition first and foremost, which is the important part here. But there's also a spell. So let's actually cast the spell on him. Okay, now he is blind and pissed off. Who wouldn't be? Alright, so let's take a note here. If we now shoot him with Karlach, hey wait, 60 is now 84%, it's green, and it says advantage. And if you look at the health bar right above, I can't bring my cursor up there, you'll just have to look at it. He's got 10 turns of blindness, and it shows that there's an advantage dice roll against shooting him. So that's how my accuracy went up. You know what's even better than that? Is Gale was already probably going to hit with a 95%, but have you ever thought you were going to hit with 95% and you missed? It's because you landed a 1, and no matter what, it's going to miss. Now, with 3 shots, they're all 99%. This is as good as it's ever going to get. You'll likely never miss with 99%. So he hit all 3 shots, all thanks to blinding him. So why does that work? Real quick. So any kind of ranged attack or Eldritch Blast, a spell attack, right? It's going to have disadvantage. So him, if he's going to use Eldritch Blast or a ranged arrow against us, he's actually going to be way less accurate. Or in the case of you being inflicted with blindness, you've ever wondered why this has screwed you over, it's because you have 2 dice rolls being rolled and you take the worst of the 2. If you rolled a 11 and you rolled a 5, you're going to take the 5. It's way worse, right? So this is what's happening to you. But the other crazy thing is if you inflict it on somebody else, right, you're going to now have advantage when taking your shot against them, and you're more likely to hit them, right? Or you could just miss again. Come on, Karlach, come on. There you go, there you go. Good girl. All right, so, but of course, if you have this condition, it can be extremely deadly because you can't get your hits off with your range and spell attacks. You'd have to walk up to somebody. Maybe you're not a melee fighter. That's really bad, right? And of course, any kind of attack against you, it could be a weapon melee, it could be ranged weapons, or it could be a spell attack, now has better chances of hitting you, okay? So whoever inflicts this condition could really mean life or death, all right? What about that spell I cast? So blindness itself is a good way to actually get this condition off. So let's roll back this real quick so we're not in trouble. But it is a level 2 spell. You'd have to be a level 3 caster to get that level 2 spell slot and start casting this, right? It's obviously inflicting that blindness condition, and it does it for 10 turns. What's really nice is you can upcast. So the level 2 spell, you'll blow a level 2 slot, you'll just inflict it on one target. But if you go up to a level 3 spell, you can now inflict it on 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it is upcastable to what? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 targets with, you know, I don't know if you're going to blow a level 6 spell slot, but hey, if we had a level 3 or level 4 spell slot, we can get him. We get him, and we get Murphy over here, okay? Just depends what you want to do. And I find that very powerful because, look, it has no concentration. This is very important because that means you could probably drop a heavy terrain like Everard's Black Tentacles. They're kind of stuck in there. And if you blind them, you don't have to concentrate on this, which means you can concentrate on another control spell like this, okay? Just be mindful. It's going to be 10 turns if you get it off against the Constitution saving throw. So I have really high spell save DC. Maybe you don't. And if you don't already know, here's your cheat sheet. Just go over to the examination page on a target and go over here to the second page, and you can see what their saving throw bonuses are. If it's something like 7, you might not get this off on the Constitution throw. Okay, so what am I talking about? Blindness has a con throw, right, where I will throw out my spell save DC against the target's cheat sheet Constitution saving throw. So his +7, whatever he rolls, will get a +7 from the saving throw bonuses here, right? And then it'll go up against my massive 25 spell save DC. But maybe in the early game, yours isn't as high. So pick your targets wisely with that. The thing I want to highlight here is with such a powerful condition, low-key amazing, let's say Cuthbert wasn't 65 HP. Maybe he was like a big enemy. You really got to make sure you can land your hits and you don't want him to hit you. You want to blind this guy, this big boss with like 300 HP. Maybe a cheap spell like Blindness could be the difference between victory and defeat, especially on Tactician or even more so on Honor Mode, okay? So, Blindness spell is really great because it doesn't have Concentrate, it can be upcasted, and it's a fairly cheap spell with a very powerful, long-lasting effect, right? And Blindness is also going to be relevant for the rest of this stuff, so let's move into the clouds real quick, okay? We're not going up in an airplane, but you know, whatever. So like I said, well, this is Fog Cloud. You saw it at the start, right? Let's just go over it real quick. I'll leave it on the screen real quick. There we go. So what this is a level 1 spell. Straight out the gate on your spellcasters, you can usually pick this up. There's also you know, scrolls of it. It is a concentration though, so you can't just drop this and haste and some other concentrations. You'd have to focus on one, and it creates a foggy area. And just so you know, clouds can actually override clouds, just like I showed at the beginning, right? But it's also going to heavily obscure an area. What I mean by that is if you kind of check this out, the red areas, right? Right now we can see in this daylight area, it's lit up. It's a clear area. There's a little sun symbol fully lit, okay? If we go over to the shade, this is lightly obscured. It's a half sun, okay, because we're in the shadows, and that can be dramatically, you know, impact how you attack or you steal things or you're stealthing around, right? But this is going to heavily obscure things, right? So the chances of you being seen, especially if you have a high stealth saving throw or check, is going to be massively increased, right? If you're trying to stealth in open area like this, you're going to be seen the moment you go into stealth, right? And they'll be like, why are you doing that? Okay. So just know that it's going to create a foggy cloud in an area. Another thing is, I'm going to reload this because watch what happens. If I'm visible while casting this and I obscure friendlies like these NPCs, I'm going to get in trouble and start combat. See? So just something to note about darkness and fog cloud. Just be careful with that, all right? I'm going to reload this again. But it does blind creatures inside. So if you don't want a single target blind, but you want to blind an entire area, or you want to control a zone so targets can't see you, you want to use this, okay? And just keep in mind, it can blind you too. Any creatures inside will be blinded, okay? You can upcast for ridiculously large cloud at level 6, or just choose whatever level. But the nice thing is, it's level 1 spell slot, right? So you can choose what you're willing to throw out in terms of spell slots to make it bigger, bigger, and bigger, right? Let's actually see the circle on the ground. See the circle here? And this is how much bigger it is. At level 4, this is how big it is. And at level 6, oh my goodness, it's the whole screen, right? Pretty crazy. All right, so do Darkvision and Devil Sight work in this? No, because Darkvision and Devil Sight allow you to see in darkness. It's not blindness immunity. What you're doing with Fog Cloud is creating a heavily obscure area and blinding anyone in that cloud, okay? So it's a blind immunity does work. Devil Sight and Darkness don't work. We'll get to that in a moment. Darkness then, what's the difference with Darkness? Well, it's a level 2 spell to start. So you have to use a level 2 spell slot, where this would have been a bigger circle like this. Let's say from here over to this guy, right? That's how big it is. If we use a Darkness cloud, it's only from here, just barely not reaching him, right? So you're using a level 2 slot where a fog cloud would have been bigger, but you're going to create darkness that's magical. It's a little ambiguous to kind of explain what magical darkness is, and it's not exactly concrete, like I know what I'm talking about either, so I'll try and go over it this way. Again, it's a fog cloud that's concentration. It is a cloud, so it would override other clouds, or it could be overridden, okay? There is a funny little daylight thing I'll go over in a second, but first, it creates magical darkness, and once again, it's going to heavily obscure an area and blind creatures inside, just like fog cloud, and this does mean you get blinded too, okay? It literally makes an area dark, which this should actually play into dark vision and not having dark vision, even though it's magical, but we'll kind of get to that in a moment when I explain the differences. And just as a caveat, I don't have them here, but you can notice this in Act 3, the Sharon fight. If you use daylight, it'll override darkness. So daylight can cancel darkness specifically. However, darkness can override daylight. So if you put down a daylight, someone can put down a darkness and cover up your daylight. It's kind of crazy, okay? But treat it as the same way as the cloud rule, where clouds can kind of override each other. Whoever comes last is the one that stays, okay? Now, here's the difference. Dark vision does not work in here, but Devil's Sight does. Devil's Sight does not work in fog cloud, but it does work here, and this creates a very powerful combo. Now, there's also this other little caveat that the game has a little quote here. I want to say, like, take a look at it, right? It says, creatures cannot make ranged attacks into or out of it. Creatures implying you and your opponents, right? Well, that's not entirely true, and this would be really valuable defensively if it was, but you can blast in, out, or through it with your Eldritch Blast as long as you have your Devil Sight to take advantage of it, right? And enemy attacks actually can go through this. So if I put this darkness down, all I'm trying to show you, right, is that if I put the darkness down with Devil Sight here, okay, I can clearly just shoot at things. Oh my god, I need these freaking... Come on. Move! Move! Alright. There we go. Get out of the way. Yeah. So, let's pause for a second so we get these dummies out of here. So, you can see the powerful combat if I have the invocation Devil Sight, which is basically superior dark vision, right? I can actually shoot out of it. I can shoot through it if I wasn't in it, okay? And enemies can also shoot in and out of it, even though they're not supposed to. However, look at Shadowheart here. If I tried to shoot, it tries to tell me the path is interrupted. There's a cloud, right? And I think even fog cloud does this too. But what I'm trying to show you is don't necessarily take this quote to heart, because it's not entirely true, and I do know for a fact Murphy over here can throw weapons into the cloud, which is very obnoxious considering you read this, it's not true. So enemy attacks can sometimes go through. Obviously with Devil Sight you can definitely blast in, out, and around it, okay? So then what is the differences with these clouds per se? Well, it seems that fog cloud is more offensive. You want to go ahead and, especially how early you get this, you can drop this on an area and really control that area by blinding things. They'll have to come out of the fog cloud, or you can run through the fog cloud and you know, keep yourself safe from projectiles. But it definitely seems like if you want to encase people with blindness, and like I said later on, it might be a good idea to drop something like Everard's and then blindness, 2 characters casting a concentration, but it seems more offensive, like you want to cast it on them. And of course the advantage with fog cloud is look how ridiculously big this is. I would say around the upper limits of, you only really need to use level 4 at most, because that's almost my entire screen, and dark vision cannot upcast like this, and yet dark vision is also a more expensive spell at its base level, so just keep that in mind, right? I think fog cloud might be your answer as long as you're not going to get blinded, or if you just want to create a control an area. But if you don't have fog cloud, darkness is almost essentially the same thing. However, it does have this excellent combo with Devil Sight, which is that warlock invocation. You'll get darkness just at 1 level after you get that invocation anyway, and this is going to create advantage on your shots. It's just a very powerful combo, and very early to get Devil Sight and have this defensive offensive mastery with just 1 powerful spell. And as warlocks, you get this back on short rest anyway. Okay, does it block block projectiles? I don't know. Leave something in the comment. But yeah, both obscure, both ignore blindness immunity, are ignored by blindness immunity. And you would think darkness requires dark vision, but let me show you something really quick, right? If I put up two darknesses, right, like this, piss everybody off, blah, blah, blah. Now, Lae'zel here, she has blindness immunity, but she doesn't have dark vision. Githyanki and humans don't have dark vision, right? However, this does create magical darkness, which is also darkness, and we can see that it's obscured from the sunlight symbol being empty. It's fully obscured, right? So without any dark vision, Lae'zel would have not 80 feet, not 40 feet of dark vision. She would be straight up at a disadvantage. But I did give her the Eversight ring, so she can't be blinded. So maybe I still have to get close. No, wait. I still have an advantage. He's blind, I'm not. So maybe I'm misinterpreting something here, but yeah, it just seems that you really want to use darkness if you don't have fog cloud, and also if you have that devil sight combo, right? I mean, I love darkness. It seems to have some kind of advantage with projectiles, but I'm just trying to show you all in real time what the advantages are between the two and the differences, okay? If you know better than me, definitely drop a comment, because we all want to know, and I like learning from you guys too. Now let's get into the visions, and I'll kind of blow past these because I think you can already see these, right? Dark vision is typically a racial. It comes in two flavors between the normal 40-foot and the 80-foot superior, right? And Devil Sight does relate to this, but we'll get to that in a second. This is going to prevent the disadvantage you typically get from non-magical darkness. I'm sorry I don't have it here on an example, but if we were in the Underdark, in Act 1 is the typical example, it's going to make it so if something was heavily obscured, you can see it as if it was lightly obscured, or if you have lightly obscured, you could see it as if it was this sunny, obscure, clear area. So if you have dark vision and you're in the Underdark, it would be like, oh, I could see just fine, like this sunny area, okay? So it helps you with that, but it is admittedly a little ambiguous, as you can tell with the darkness cloud and whatnot. And I'm sorry I don't have the Underdark example here, but you kind of get a sense for it. If you've ever played a human character without dark vision and you're in the Underdark, and you don't have any way to mitigate it, it's a little obnoxious. You'll see the difference, right? You'll have to carry a torch, or you'll have to cast dark vision on that human character or Githyanki character. It definitely does play into certain scenarios, and you do want to be aware of it. So dark vision can come in really handy as a racial or a little spell to pick up or a scroll and cast it on your, you know, non-dark vision characters like Githyanki and humans, all right? So from what I do understand from the wiki and whatnot, like I said, it can make opponents see you as if if you think you're heavily obscured, now you're lightly obscured. Or if you were lightly obscured sneaking around, now they can see you as if it was a sunny open area. Like I said, if I try to sneak around an open, fully clear area, the moment I'm in the red vision and I hit stealth, I'm seen immediately. Doesn't matter my stealth checks, okay? But if I was in a lightly obscured area, right, I could more than likely stay there because it's still somewhat obscured and I have a decent stealth check even though I'm in the red vision of sight, okay? So there's that as well. And if you wanted to know, you can also use those clouds to create obscurity, but these kind of little different here, okay? Dark vision is more talking about the darkness of an area rather than the obscurity of fogs and line of sight and whatnot. Okay, so like I said, sorry I don't have the best explanation, but these come in two flavors, 40 feet or superior, which I think on Drow and Dwergar at 80 feet, right? And you can't be, this is not blind immunity, so of course, if you're in those fog clouds, these don't really do anything, doesn't matter how much, right? So you cannot see in fog or darkness just because you have the dark vision, and we saw that, right? Look at Shadowheart here. I'll give you an example. She doesn't have anything but regular dark vision because she's a half-elf, okay? So she can see in darkness up to 40 feet. So if I lay down a fog cloud, I'm still blinded, so it doesn't really matter. I can't see through it, right? So that doesn't help. And of course, darkness being magical does not help me in this either. I'm also blinded here, okay? So dark vision does not help out with anything having to do with the fog and darkness clouds. What about Devil Sight? So like I said, I think I already made a case for what makes darkness and fog different. And it's largely right here with Devil Sight, okay? Again, if I put down a fog cloud, right? Put that down, and I walk into it with Gale, who does have Devil Sight, I'm still blinded. But the moment I put down a darkness and override it, okay, I'm not blinded anymore and I get in trouble. right? So now Gale can just go zapping, go pew pew pew. There you go. Okay, and now I have the advantage and whatnot. So again, this is a Warlock invocation at level 2, and you can actually pick up the Magical Darkness spell at level 3, and so this combos amazingly together, right? But this is basically superior dark vision. So all of these benefits of seeing in the Underdark and dark areas is going to be beneficial. So Devil Sight is worth picking up if you especially don't have dark vision, but also if you want to use this powerful combo with the darkness spell, and you'll get all the other benefits as well. Again though, it's not blind immune, that's why you get blinded in a fog cloud, okay? Or if a target uses the blindness spell against you. If you, I also haven't tested this on Raffi or Yerger, but using this logic, you could blind them with the blindness spell or a fog cloud, funny enough, right? But not a darkness cloud. So if you know the differences or any other cool stuff, just comment me. And finally, let's just get into this. Like I said, if you have some kind of equipment that prevents you from being blinded, it does not necessarily mean you can see in the Underdark or dark areas, but in Fog Cloud or Darkness Cloud, you can run in here defensively and then have the offensive power of using the advantage you get from it because you can't be blinded, but they cannot see you, right? And you cannot be blinded with that spell. I wish I could show you with the... I can't blind my own friendlies anyway, but if this, a target that you know is going to use blindness tries to blind your character, they won't even attempt it because obviously you're immune to blindness, right? So the blindness immunity, obviously you're immune to the condition. It's not dark vision, so maybe this doesn't work exactly in the Underdark or actual dark areas, right? And it works in fog and darkness to a degree that dark vision doesn't even matter. It's interesting, right? But also, it's found on equipment, Eversight Ring, the Shar Spear, which is very, very good. Just if you don't already know, if you do a little screw up in Act 2, you get rewarded for it. This spear actually gives you the blind immunity, and you can keep casting darkness as much as you want. It's a free spell, all because you're equipping the shield. Okay, very powerful combo. There's the Eversight Ring, which we're using on Lae'zel. This is an Act 2 ring, and if you don't need it, just take it off. When you do need it, just re-equip it, right? And then finally, there's the Helldusk and Steel Watch. These are both Act 3 items, though. But yeah, they could be pretty good because they don't just give you blindness. They usually give you something else, like advantage on concentration. All right, so that's pretty much going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and fog out. Here we go. Let's go ahead and obscure everybody in here. Kaboom! But yeah, that'll do it. How do you use these properly? Well, come watch the live stream. We have more fun with more people in there, chatting, commenting, seeing stuff in action, not just in theory, right? And I do it because I play on honor mode, not because I'm a tough guy, but because I think it's the best mode for everybody. I really like honor mode. Can't take things back, so you have to know your mechanical know-how, and you can just build cool characters, and when you beat it, you feel awesome, right? And I want to see more people do that, so just drop a comment or come into the chat and chat with us. If you have questions, I'll answer it. Sometimes the chat and commenters also have good tips and tricks, and I learn a thing or two, all right? And if you got a suggestion, let me know, because you are our sponsors. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Member support is as low as it's going to get on YouTube, so thank you for the membership support too. But also, the most important thing is hopefully you enjoy the video and it helped you out. Until then, you guys have an excellent one, and I'll see you in the next one.